Now, among all of the beautiful and powerful memories that I will take with me as I leave here, among the highest and the brightest and the best are the times when I, as bishop, have baptized young men and women, little babies that I was able to hold in my arms, toddlers, young adults, people who have come to us in faith, hoping that in Jesus their lives will be changed forever. I remember so many of those beautiful, happy occasions in our churches, in other settings, and perhaps the most beautiful of all, a couple of years ago, when in one of our parishes I baptized a young man who had just left one of our prisons, who he met us through the Way Home ministry, was sponsored by one of our deacons and the whole congregation. That day, I had prepared a sermon to give, but first I asked him, was there anything he wanted to say about what Jesus meant to him? As we listened to what he had to say, and I was moved to tears, I decided there had been enough preaching that evening and thanked and recognized him. But as part of our liturgy for baptizing, when someone has been baptized and received the water and the oil, we say this together. We receive you into the household of God. Confess the faith of Christ crucified, right? We receive you into the household of God. And it is our tradition, it is our commitment, and it is our promise as a church that from north and south and east and west and every tribe and family and nation, those of high degree and low esteem, no matter who you are, no matter where you have been, we welcome you into the household of God. But not only do we mean that in a spiritual sense, but we mean it in the very most real and practical and day-to-day sense. And we, our family, will always be profoundly grateful for being welcomed into this household of faith. And for me, as a person, it has always been first and most important to be Holly's husband and Parker's dad. And so this morning, as you have listened to me, lo these many years, patiently, kindly, I've asked them to come up and share with you for a moment what this has meant to them.
Thank you for allowing me to say a few words of appreciation about all the Diocese of Delaware has meant to me over the past 19 years. I told Wayne that I was struggling with what to say. He said, "Don't worry, say anything you want, just leave the Jesus part to me." I think most of you don't know the circumstances under which Wayne and I first met. My father was a career naval officer, and our family occasionally attended chapel on base, but we had no particular affiliation. So I grew up knowing nothing about the Episcopal Church. In 1983, I decided to take a nursing job at Camp Chanco, the summer camp of the Diocese of Southern Virginia. I read an ad in the local paper, and I thought it seemed like a cushy job at a beautiful location on the James River, where I didn't have to work very hard. I was unaware that the Holy Spirit might be conspiring to change my life. On the first day in the infirmary, I was visited by Father Wayne, who had been assigned by the bishop to be the camp chaplain. I already happened to see Father Wayne on a bicycle. If you think Wayne looks tall and lanky in his khakis, you should see him in a pair of shorts. In spite of this, I commented in a moment of boldness that he had nice legs. He said that I had nice legs too. He had come to the infirmary on the excuse that the infirmary was the only location on camp that had a refrigerator in which he could store his bottle of Beefeater's gin. I remind you, this was a long time ago. He came to the infirmary frequently for what I could tell was no reason except to hang out and talk with me, which I liked, but it left me feeling very confused. After numerous visits, one of the camp counselors commented to me that she thought Father Wayne was sweet on me. I had assumed and told her that the title Father meant that he was celibate, as in the Roman Catholic tradition. She laughed and assured me that indeed Episcopal priests were permitted to marry. That changed my MO considerably. We had our first date on one of my nights off, and the rest is history. But not surprisingly, I felt both unprepared and unworthy to be a clergy wife. And those feelings magnified exponentially when Wayne was elected Bishop of Delaware. The overriding image I had of a bishop's wife was Loretta Young with Cary Grant in a movie of the same title. And I sure as heck knew I wasn't Loretta Young. But the reaction of some of our friends in New Orleans to Wayne's election was classic. That someone would voluntarily leave New Orleans, home of Mardi Gras, jazz, amazing food, temperate winters, a city known for its love of life, that was just incomprehensible. Why would anybody leave that for the cold Northeast, full of its type A personalities, where they listen to Terry Gross on NPR, where they eat Shrove Tuesday pancakes instead of parading and dancing on Mardi Gras Day? I had to admit I was a little worried. While I felt strongly that it was a God thing that Wayne had been elected and that we must heed that call, I also wondered if it was the end of my fun life as I knew it. I admit also that I had major anxiety about my new bishop wife identity in Delaware. What would be expected of me? I heard that my predecessor, Hyde Tennis, was a wonderful decorator, that she even decorated the diocesan offices at Christmas time. That alone terrified me. It was all I could do to throw a wreath on the front door. As a backup plan, I decided to enroll in the family nurse practitioner program at the University of Delaware. That way, whenever parishioners would say, "Where's Holly?" Wayne could say, "Oh, she has a very important paper for school tomorrow." Since our son Parker was only 8 when we began here, I decided to join a parish rather than exposing him to regular Sunday visitations with the bishop. We joined Emmanuel on the Green in Newcastle. Our family had a long friendship with Ed Godden from our Virginia days. It has been a wonderful support for our family, offering warm friendship, spiritual guidance, and a lovely setting to enjoy beautiful music and liturgy for these many years. I'm very grateful. After graduating from UD, I began my search for a job. I felt strongly that I wanted to work with an underserved patient population. I visited Henrietta Johnson Medical Center in one of Wilmington's poorest neighborhoods. I submitted my application to the HR person, who told me that no position was available, but it would be kept on file. I called back every week. Somewhat exasperated, the HR guy eventually set up an interview for me with the chief medical officer. Dr. Case looked at my application. I was a new graduate and very wet behind the ears. He said to me, "Why do you keep applying when we told you we have no openings?" I told him, "Because God told me I was supposed to work with poor people." Little did I know that Dr. Case was a devout Catholic. When I said that, I saw the blood run from his face. He stared at my resume, shook his head, was silent for a long time. Finally, he said, "Well, we have a doctor going out on maternity leave for 2 months. You can take her place, but when she gets back, you have to leave." I ended up staying 7 years. Praise, oh praise, the Holy Spirit. For the last 9 years, I've been working for Christiana's special Medicare home visit program that targets frail, homebound elderly patients. I work in the urban neighborhoods of downtown Wilmington in the senior high-rises. It has been a great privilege to be invited into people's truly modest homes, where families struggling to make ends meet are challenged by the additional and daunting task of caring for their sick elderly. And yet they manage to do this by the grace of God. My patients who know suffering know Jesus. Almost all of us here are very fortunate. It has been a revelation to me to discover how profoundly lonely older people are. I encourage all of you to consider what your churches might do to alleviate some of the suffering of loneliness that older people endure. I'd also like to thank the knitters at All Saints Rehoboth, under the guidance of Susan Phillips, who provided me with dozens of lovely share prayer shawls that I've been able to give to my patients. One of my greatest pleasures has been the friendships formed with other clergy spouses in the diocese. Years ago, we started meeting for the weekend at Memorial House every November. Many thanks to Kathy Moore and Dina Hollingsworth for helping make those weekends so special. We named ourselves the PIMS, Partners in Ministry. I can't begin to tell you how amazing our clergy spouses are. Most have their own careers outside the home, and yet they manage to support their spouses' ministries, raise children and grandchildren, volunteer in the community, advance their education, and participate in their churches. Being a clergy spouse can be lonely and difficult. It can be hard sometimes not to be thin-skinned and easily hurt by harsh words or actions, especially when they are against our spouses. And yet we must remain quiet and soldier on. The clergy spouses of the Diocese of Delaware are a devoted, diverse, and hearty bunch. Talented, bright, creative, and very generous. Be sure to hug and thank your priest spouse the next time you see her or him. We cannot underestimate how crucial their support is to the health and well-being of our clergy. In closing, I want to thank my husband, Wayne, for his encouragement in my endeavors and even my frivolities. He always gave me room to do my own thing. He didn't criticize me when I made a mistake or a careless remark. He allowed me to pick and choose my ministries, knowing the Holy Spirit would find the right fit for me. I love you very much. I'm grateful for this journey we have all shared in the Diocese of Delaware, the jewel in the crown of all the dioceses in the Episcopal Church. Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning.
was a very pleasant surprise to be invited up here from Texas to speak at this ceremony. And I'm really honored to be chosen to be able to speak a few words, just thanking everyone and thanking my father. I may live in Texas now, but Delaware will always be home. And in particular, the Episcopal Church in Delaware is what makes it home for me. So I may not know all of you, but all of you have made it possible for me and for my family to have a wonderful life here and for me to have a wonderful upbringing in this state. And I'll never forget the warm welcome and love that so many of you have demonstrated towards our family for the past almost 20 years. I arrived here from New Orleans when Dad was elected, having just completed second grade in 1998, wondering two things. One, where's Delaware? I hadn't taken an American geography class yet, And two, do they have Mardi Gras there? I soon learned that, sadly, although there would be no Mardi Gras in Delaware, that didn't matter because, here you find the most wonderful people in the world. They live here. From father figures like Ed Godden, the late Rod Wells, and the people I grew to call my second set of grandparents, the late Muff and Bob Scott, who went to Christ Church in Greenville for so many years. I learned that the most important thing in the world is community, and just how essential it is to have a loving and caring support network. You'd be hard-pressed to find a more nurturing community than the Episcopal Church in Delaware. Here I also learned the importance of giving unconditionally and of service. I'm blessed beyond measure to have been able to spend a year in prayer and discernment with Russ Bonner and Celeste Cox at St. Anne's in Middletown when I felt a call to the priesthood. They didn't have to spend all of that time with me, giving their time and energy freely, but they did, and for that I'm forever grateful. While that did not end up being my direct career path, going to seminary and getting ordained, I learned that being a servant is at the heart of the Christian life from them. As Dr. Martin Luther King so rightly noted, anyone can be a servant. I've been inspired by them and by others to live my life giving to those who lack. None of this would have been possible without my father. He's my best friend and the person I most admire. He gives his time, love, and resources unconditionally to so many wonderful causes, to his family, and to the church. He's a constant champion for justice, through publicly advocating for an end to the death penalty, to supporting LGBT and women's rights before it was popular to do so, to defending the dignity of the poor and immigrants. He has pushed me to complete tasks I thought I could not complete, like completing my Eagle Scout project, or enabling me to go to college and graduate, or to become fluent in Spanish. He built for me a tremendous support system and surrounded me with wonderful people to give me the best chance to succeed in life, through sending me to good schools, to encouraging me to pursue my passions in music and sports. He's so humble that he would say to me that I did those things, that I created and took advantage of those opportunities. But the truth is I could never have accomplished any of those things without him. Too many boys aren't fortunate enough to have a loving and kind father, and I give thanks every day to have been blessed with the best father you could ask for. He's always been patient with me when I struggled to learn new tasks, and caring and understanding. And somebody remarked yesterday that he has this remarkable optimism. It's not a blind optimism, but just faith in that good will triumph. He has a saying that he always, where it's a rhetorical question that he always asks me, how do you want to know how things are going to be? Look at how they've been going. And I think things have been going pretty good here in Delaware for him and for me, for my family. And for this diocese. So I think it's going to continue that way. So thank you.
Love you guys. Wonderful. Wonderful to have my mom here with us as well. So, as we come to the end, let's go back to the beginning. Seems like the best place to go. I told you last night about how Rod Wells twisted my arm by invoking the name of the Holy Spirit to keep me in this process. I honestly did not think that when I left the second candidates forum that I would ever come back. And so on that beautiful Saturday morning in New Orleans in the last week of February there, it's springtime, the azaleas were blooming. Parker had gone out to be with some friends, and Holly said to me, "Do you mind if I go to the store?" And I said, "Don't worry, those people voted all day 2 weeks ago. You could go with it. Nothing will happen while you're away." So I was there, a friend, a deacon, a wonderful woman, pastoral counselor, and deacon who served with us was there with me in the house. At about 10:30 Central Time, the phone rang. And it was George Carney, who was president of our standing committee. George and Carolyn could not be here today. Carolyn is not well enough to travel, but I've spoken to them and thanked them for their friendship over these years. But on the other end of the line was George Carney, who was president of the standing committee. And those of you who know George know that he is a man of few words and direct in his speaking. And I picked up the phone, and he said, "Hello, this is George Carney, president of the standing committee of the Diocese of Delaware. Do you accept our election to be our 10th bishop?" I didn't know what to say. Honestly, I thought about Neil Armstrong, one small step, Abraham Lincoln, 4 and and I couldn't think of a thing to say. I could not think of a thing to say. And there was a long pause, it seemed to me to be an eternity. And George, in his beautiful, common sense way, said to me, "Wayne, you don't have to say anything memorable." Just say yes or no. We're all waiting. And so I said yes. That, after all, is the pivotal moment in our lives, our pilgrimage, our vocation, and our decision to follow Jesus, all of us. He asks us to follow him, and he hopes and his heart prays that each of us will say yes. And as he said to us, "I go before you and I prepare a place for you." And that place is the household of God. This place, our family, the extended world and community of which we are a part. And now, our season of serving with you is coming to an end. As you can see, blessed and rich, a time of growing, challenge, opportunity. And so now I invite you to join with us, with our family, as we say yes in expectation and hope and prayer to welcome that person who will be your next bishop. May that person be welcomed as we were and blessed as we have been. You and they will be in our prayers for Godspeed, blessing, hope, and glory every day. Amen.
Amen.